guys, it's the 8-bit Music Chicken here, and welcome to the 8-bit Music Chicken Gaming Show. Today I will be reviewing the Atari Flashback 4. And if you don't know what this system is, it's a console that plugs into your TV and it has 75 classic Atari games built into it. We will be showing you what comes in the box and how well it actually works. So I hope you enjoy. Okay, first we'll be looking at how the actual console looks and what it has. As you can see, it's basically a tiny version of what the original Atari 2600 looks like. It has two controller ports on the front, although it comes with two wireless controllers, which I'll talk about in a minute, but this means you can use the original Atari controllers and accessories on this system, which is really cool. To try and be like the original Ataris that have the wooden bar at the front, they've kind of stuck a sticker trying to imitate this on the front, and it's cool, but it looks so fake and it's a bit of a lazy job, but it's no big deal really. It still looks pretty cool. And the buttons here, we have the power button, the start button, the difficulty switch button, sorry, and then the select button. And yeah, it works really well, and I think overall this console looks and functions really well. Okay, so here are the two wireless controllers that come with the system. Obviously they're kind of like Atari 2600 controllers, and I have an original Atari 2600 controller here, so I can do a comparison. As you can see, the Atari 2600 controller is a tiny bit bigger than the Atari Flashback controller, but they both have a joystick and a button. The sticks feel a tiny bit different to each other. Like this one, it kind of feels a lot looser than the original Atari 2600 joystick, as you may be able to see here, but the buttons feel different, but they both feel really good and work okay. And now at the front of the Player 1 Atari Flashback 4 controller, it has a reset button here, and then it has a select and start button here. And the second player controller doesn't have that, so it's just something for the Player 1 to do. They both have switches to turn it on and off, and this is good, but something I don't like about these controllers is that after a while of not being used, the controllers switch themselves off. I know it's to save battery, and these controllers use AAA batteries, by the way, but they use two of them each. But let's say you're playing two-player on Space Invaders, and it's the other person's turn to play, and then the person dies and it's your turn again. And by the time it's your turn again, your controller's switched off and you've already been killed. So that's a tiny flaw. And also, unlike most wireless controllers nowadays, these controllers aren't Wi-Fi or Bluetooth, the way they connect to the console. They are actually infrared, which they work really good actually, but what it means is that if your controller is facing in a direction not towards the console, it won't pick up anything you're doing on it. But as long as it's like facing in the direction of the system, it's fine and it'll work perfectly. So overall, these controllers are really good, I think, overall. Other things that come with this console are the normal things to hook it up to the TV, like a power adapter, AV cables, but then it also comes with another extra thing that is a really nice touch and is really cool. It comes with an Asteroids poster, and just look how awesome this is. It says Asteroids on the front here and has some really good artwork of a really cool spaceship, and then in the back you can like kind of see the actual weight similar to what's on the game. So that was a really nice touch, and it comes with a really awesome poster as well, so that's cool. Now let's talk about the games that are actually on this system. And there's a really big selection of great games, like classics like Space Invaders, Pong, Asteroids, and a ton of others. And overall it works really well, but a few problems I do have that, well, they're not exactly problems, but as all of these games are like Atari 2600 games, the Space Invaders on here is actually like kind of similar to the arcade version, and it isn't the Atari 2600 version. And so if you're getting this and you think it'll have the actual Atari 2600 version of Space Invaders, it probably won't. And then a few of these other games on this console require the paddle controller, which I actually don't have. You can use the wireless joysticks that come with it, but it's really hard to play some of the games like Breakout and Pong without the paddle controller. And you can get the paddle controller separately because the Atari Flashback 4 does use original Atari 2600 accessories, but that's just something you'll need to know when you're getting this system. As I said earlier, the Atari Flashback 4 comes with 75 games, so there are some really classic and fantastic games on here, and there's a really big variety of the kind of games on here, so it's bound to keep you playing for a long time. I definitely recommend the Atari Flashback 4, and it usually goes for around £40, which I think is a very, very good price for it. I recommend getting this if you want to get into Atari games. This is a great way to, because it comes with a large handful of games, just right to play, built into the system. And yeah, you can't use the actual Atari 2600 cartridges though, so that's something you have to keep in mind. And even if you already have an Atari 2600, this is still a great system to own if you just want one that has a ton of games in it to have hooked up to your TV. So I can have both and find both of them really cool though, because there are a ton of games on the Atari Flashback 4 that I don't have on the original Atari. And to get all of the cartridges that are on the Atari Flashback 4 on the original Atari 2600, it'd cost so much. So the Atari Flashback 4 is a phenomenal console. I was very pleased with it and I recommend it to pretty much anyone. It's a great system if you're just a casual gamer and you want a console just to pick up every now and then and play a game. Because the kind of games on the Atari are games where you can just pick up, play for 5 minutes, and there are so many of them, so I'd say it's great for pretty much all kinds of games. And even if you're a modern gamer, it's still a great system to try, because there are 75 games on here. I'm sure there's at least some you'd like. So, this has been my review of the Atari Flashback 4. I hope you enjoyed it, and if you want to get one, I recommend you get one from a really cool website online called funstock.co.uk. They sell a ton of other retro consoles like this, like the Neo Geo X, Game Gadget, a ton of others that are really cool. And honestly, as well as it having a ton of selection of retro consoles on the website, I've had no problems with them whatsoever. I pre-ordered a console called the Retron 5 off there, and it still hasn't come out in Europe yet, but at one point Hyperkin, the company who's making the Retron 5, actually increased the price of the system, but because there'd been so many delays and stuff, they still made, everyone who'd already pre-ordered it, they still said they could pay the original price. And as well as that, when I've got a faulty system from there, which isn't their fault, I've rang up the helpline, they've been extremely helpful and they helped me replace it. So this is a fantastic website for your retro stuff. So, I'll see you next week, guys. Bye!